right, welcome in everyone to another deep dive with us. This time, we're going to be cracking open the world of market research. But we're not just going to be talking about the theory here. We're going to be doing it through the lens of a real professional's experience.
It's almost like we're getting a backstage pass to see how the magic happens.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be looking at a resume that we have here, a very impressive one, actually. And we're going to see market research in action through the eyes of someone who's lived it and breathed it.
I'm excited for this one.
Me too.
Yeah.
And hopefully by the end of this, you'll know exactly what market research analysts actually do. Like, we're talking about the tools they use, the projects they tackle.
The impact they have.
Yeah. We're even going to be looking at how they create market entry strategies for, well, let's just say a hot new gadget that everyone's going to want.
Sounds good to me.
So let's get started. The resume we have in front of us is from a gentleman named Kundan Singh. So Kundan's journey starts as a research analyst at VBA Binary Semantics LLP in Gurgaon, Haryana. And then fast forward about 3.5 years and bam, he's promoted to senior research analyst at Unimerc Research PVT Ltd, still in Gurgaon.
So first of all, I just got to point out that's a pretty rapid climb. Reaching a senior analyst position that quickly tells me he's either incredibly talented.
Which, by the way, he clearly is.
Yeah. Or the market for research analysts is super hot right now.
No, it definitely is.
Or, and this is most likely, a bit of both. Companies are clearly super hungry for people who can take data, turn it into actionable insights.
Absolutely. Okay, let's zoom in on a few of the responsibilities that Kundan highlights in his resume here. One that immediately caught my eye was this one. Developed automated research workflows using SQL, Power BI, and Excel. Okay, I get the Excel part, but SQL and Power BI, those sound pretty high-tech to me.
They kind of are.
Yeah.
But they don't have to be intimidating. Think of SQL as like a super precise search engine for like massive databases.
Yeah.
Imagine you're a company with millions of customers. You need to find out who bought, let's say, a specific product in a certain region within like the last month. Well, SQL lets you pinpoint that exact information, like instantly.
Okay.
So it's way more than just your average spreadsheet skills.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And then we've got Power BI, which is all about transforming raw data into eye-catching visuals.
That got good.
It does. Think interactive dashboards, charts that like tell a story, reports that even like your CEO can understand at a glance.
Gotcha. So basically, Kundan's not just finding data. He's creating systems to analyze it faster and make it more useful for, everyone. And then he even quantifies that. He says by improving the data efficiency by 30%, like that's got to be huge for the company, right?
30%. That's a game changer. It's like imagine having this superpower that lets you do the same work in a fraction of the time. It frees you up to think more strategically about what the data actually means.
I like that. The data is telling a story.
It is.
All right. So let's dive into one of the projects that Kundan worked on that's listed here on his resume. And it's a market entry strategy for a consumer electronics company. Now this is where things get really interesting to me. Who doesn't love a shiny new gadget?
A market entry strategy is like a blueprint for success, like guiding a company as they launch this new product in a fresh, new market. So let's say, I don't know, a big tech company wants to introduce a brand new smartwatch in a country that they've never sold in before.
Okay, yeah.
They have to understand everything from the competitive landscape to the consumer, psyche before even, taking that leap.
That makes sense. So what kind of steps would Kundan have taken to create this market entry strategy?
Well, I imagine he would have started by sizing up the market.
Yeah.
How many potential smartwatch, wearers are out there in this new territory?
Right.
Then he'd assess the market's growth potential. Is it a booming sector or is it, plateauing?
Makes sense.
Next, he'd dissect the competitive landscape. Who are the, dominant players? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Are there any regulatory hurdles? All that.
So he needs to be, part detective, part data scientist.
You're getting it. And
yeah.
He'd also need to delve into consumer segmentation. Are they targeting fitness enthusiasts, tech-savvy early adopters, or a broader demographic?
Right.
Each segment might require a totally different approach. And then there's distribution, how will the company get this smartwatch into people's hands? Online retailers, brick-and-mortar stores, direct sales.
So it's not just about the product itself, it's about understanding the whole ecosystem around it.
Precisely. And then, of course, pricing strategy is critical. What are people willing to pay for a smartwatch in this market? How did that compare to the competitors? There's this, sweet spot they need to find.
This is reminding me of that classic line, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. I mean, a market entry strategy is all about setting yourself up for success, right?
You couldn't have said it better. And that's exactly where a skilled market research analyst like Kundan comes in. They provide that data-driven foundation for those critical business decisions.
It's super interesting, and we're just scratching the surface here, and we've already uncovered so much. Let's move on to some other projects that Kundan mentions. He lists competitive analysis for a global pharmaceutical company and industry trends and forecasting for an e-commerce client.
Each of these projects brings its own unique challenges. So like the pharmaceutical analysis likely involved digging deep into competitor pipelines, understanding the regulatory landscape, and anticipating trends in drug development, which are all very specialized areas.
I mean, it sounds like he'd need a PhD in pharmaceuticals just to get started.
Well, maybe not a PhD, but definitely a strong grasp of the industry, for sure. And then with the e-commerce project, the focus would have been on analyzing massive data sets of online shopping behavior to, anticipate shifts in consumer demand, maybe even predict the next big online shopping craze.
Wow.
That requires some serious analytical firepower.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me how diverse the world of market research is. You could be working on, cutting-edge tech one day and life-saving drugs the next.
You hit the nail on the head. The skills that you develop as a market research analyst can be applied to practically any industry you can imagine.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's unpack some of those key skills that he lists here. So Kundan lists quantitative and qualitative research. I have a feeling that most people hear those terms and their eyes kind of glaze over.
It sounds a little intimidating.
It does.
But it doesn't have to be.
Okay, good. So can you break it down for us in a simple way?
You bet. Imagine you're trying to understand why people love a certain brand of coffee. Right? Quantitative research is all about the numbers. It's about surveys, polls, experiments that give you hard data. 75% of coffee drinkers in this city prefer brand X.
Okay.
It tells you the what.
So it's like taking a snapshot of what people are doing.
Exactly. But then there's qualitative research, which is all about digging deeper into the why. So it's about interviewing those coffee lovers to understand their personal experiences, their emotions, their motivations. Why do they choose brand X? What does it make them feel?
So it's like going beyond the numbers to uncover the stories behind them.
You got it. And a skilled market research analyst needs to be fluent in both quantitative and qualitative approaches to get the full picture.
I like that. Okay, so Kundan lists a whole arsenal of other skills too. So SQL, Power BI, Advanced Excel, I mean, we touched on those already. Data cleaning, dashboarding, market entry strategy, trend forecasting, even consumer behavior analysis.
Wow.
It's a lot.
It's like a blend of, technical skills and strategic thinking, which is what makes this field so dynamic. You're constantly learning, adapting, and applying your knowledge to solve real-world business challenges.
It's pretty impressive. All right. So before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's take a look at the certifications Kundan has earned. He mentions Power BI and data visualization from Growth School and Advanced Excel for data analysis from Udemy, just to name a few.
Those certifications are like a stamp of approval. Yep. Signaling to potential employers that Kundan's committed to, staying ahead of the curve. And in a rapidly evolving field like market research, those credentials can make a big difference.
So it's like showing you're not just relying on what you learned in school, you're actively seeking out new knowledge and skills.
Exactly. It's a clear signal that you're passionate about, professional growth and keeping your skills sharp.
Yeah.
Is very important.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we're back for part 2 of our deep dive into the world of market research. We're learning so much from Kundan Singh's career path. But you know what really strikes me?
What's that?
It's how his experience just highlights the impact market research has on a company's, bottom line. Think about that market entry strategy he developed for that consumer electronics company we were just talking about.
Absolutely.
I mean, getting that right could mean the difference between, a blockbuster product launch and a complete flop.
100%. It's huge. And it's easy to think of market research as just numbers and surveys, right?
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that. It's really about understanding people, their needs, how to connect with them in a meaningful way.
I like that. Okay, so it's not just about avoiding costly mistakes.
Right.
Good market research can actually unlock some incredible opportunities too.
For sure.
Like, imagine identifying a completely untapped market segment or, like, predicting a future trend before anyone else.
I mean, that's gold. That's the kind of insight that can give a company a serious competitive edge.
It's like having a crystal ball. That helps you see what's coming, around the corner.
In a way, yeah. But instead of magic, it's all about the data, the analysis, and a deep understanding of, human behavior.
Human behavior. So it's not just giant corporations that can benefit from this, right?
Not at all. Even small businesses and startups can gain a huge advantage from understanding their target market and the competitive landscape. In fact, I'd argue for businesses with, like, limited resources, making those data-driven decisions, it's even more crucial.
That's a great point. Okay, so no matter what size company you are, market research can help you, make smarter choices, avoid those costly missteps.
Exactly. It's like having a trusted advisor who can help you navigate this complex world of business and, make decisions with confidence.
Okay, so going back to Kundan's resume.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out to me was his emphasis on data visualization. It seems like being able to, present data in a clear and compelling way is just as important as analyzing it in the first place.
You're absolutely right. It doesn't matter how, brilliant your insights are if you can't communicate them effectively to the decision makers.
You got to get the point across.
You do. And that's where data visualization comes in. It's about turning raw data into, charts, graphs, dashboards that, tell a story and make the insights jump off the page,
So it's not just about crunching numbers, it's about being a storyteller, too.
Exactly. You need to be able to weave a narrative with the data, highlight the key takeaways, and present them in a way that's both, informative and engaging. Because remember, you might be presenting this stuff to executives who don't have a deep understanding of, statistics or data analysis. So you've got to make it accessible to everyone.
Yeah, I speak their language.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. That makes me think about the certifications that Kundan listed on his resume. You say those are, essential for someone breaking into this field?
While they're not always mandatory, they can definitely give you a leg up, especially in a competitive job market.
Oh, for sure.
They demonstrate a commitment to, professional development and show potential employers that you've invested the time and effort in honing your skills.
So it's like a signal to employers that you're serious about your craft. You're staying up to date on, the latest tools and techniques.
Exactly. And in a field that's constantly evolving, like market research, that willingness to learn, adapt, it's crucial.
Okay. So as we're wrapping up this part of our deep dive, I'm curious to get your take on something. We've talked about, the analytical side of market research. But what about, the human element? How important are, those soft skills like communication, collaboration, empathy?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. And I'd say those soft skills are just as important as the technical ones. Remember, market research is all about understanding people, right? So you need to be able to connect with your research subjects, build rapport, elicit meaningful insights, and then you need to communicate those findings effectively to your team, your clients, and sometimes even, the public.
So it's not enough to just be a data whiz. You need to be a people person, too.
You got it. The best market research analysts are those who can blend the analytical rigor with human understanding.
They can analyze data, extract insights, and then communicate those findings in a way that, resonates with people and drives action.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay. We've covered so much ground already, and I'm starting to see how, multifaceted market research truly is.
It really is.
It's a blend of data, technology, psychology, and even, a bit of storytelling.
A little bit, yeah.
But before we get too carried away, let's take a quick pause here and recap what we've learned so far. All right, welcome back, everyone, for the final part of our deep dive into the world of market research. We've been really digging into Kundan Singh's resume, and I'm starting to feel like maybe, just maybe, I could add market research analyst to my own LinkedIn profile.
Well, you've certainly been absorbing a lot of information over these past two parts. But I think what's really cool about all of this is how it's shown us that market research, it isn't some isolated niche field, It's really woven into the fabric of almost every industry you can imagine.
You're so right. I mean, we've talked about everything from consumer electronics to pharmaceuticals to e-commerce. I mean, the list goes on. And it really makes you realize that, behind every product we buy, every website we visit, every app we use, there's a whole team of people using market research to shape our experiences.
Yeah, it's true. Think about the last time you streamed a movie on Netflix, or booked a flight on Expedia or Kayak, or heck, even just ordered takeout on Uber Eats or Grubhub or whatever you use. I mean, market research played a role in how those companies designed their platforms, how they targeted their advertising, and maybe even predicted what you might want to watch, or where you might want to travel, or what you might feel like eating.
It's kind of wild, right? Like, it's like market research is working behind the scenes, influencing our choices without us even realizing it.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. But, it's not about manipulation or anything like that. Good market research is about, like, understanding what people want and need, and then using that information to create products and services that, make their lives better.
Right. And that makes me think about something we talked about earlier, like the ethical considerations of market research. Because it's one thing to gather data, but it needs to be done responsibly, with respect for people's privacy.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think that's something that's becoming more and more important in today's world, this data-driven world we live in, because consumers are more aware of how their data is being used, and they're demanding more transparency and control.
Yeah, you're right. So it's not just about the technical skills, right? It's about having a strong ethical compass, too.
Exactly. Like market research analysts, they have this responsibility to use their skills for good, to make sure that data is collected and used in a way that benefits both businesses and consumers.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've really accomplished our mission today. We've gone, beyond the surface and really explored the depths of what a market research analyst does. I mean, we've seen how they use data to solve problems, uncover opportunities, and really shape the world around us.
Yeah. And we've seen that it's not just about numbers, right? It's about understanding people, their motivations, and how to connect with them in those really meaningful ways.
Yeah, I love that. So for our listener out there, maybe someone who's thinking, hey, market research, that actually sounds pretty cool. What advice would you give to someone who's interested in this field?
I would say be curious, be analytical, and be, passionate about solving problems. I think, market research is a field that really rewards those who are constantly asking why, and who are, always looking for those new and innovative ways to understand the world around them.
I love that. Curiosity, analytical thinking, and a passion for problem solving. Those are skills that'll take you far in any field, but I think they're especially valuable in the dynamic world of market research. So with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as we have, and we hope you've walked away with, a new appreciation for the power of market research.
Yeah. Remember, data is everywhere. And the insights that it holds, well, they have the power to transform businesses, shape industries, and maybe even change the world. Who knows?
So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep. Until next time.